Hi guys, Macy Lou here, and I know it's been a long time, but a lot has happened. So there was a little bit of flooding in the house, and it came through this wall back here into my studio, and kind of damaged, well, not kind of, it damaged my drop cloth, so I had to replace that. But other than that, nothing really happened to like my art or anything like that, so it could have been way worse. But it kind of got me working on the house and trying to do some more home renovations and remodeling type things because I wanted to get that bathroom kind of started again because I had put it off and put it off and put it off, and that kind of prompted me to work on it again. So in turn, I wasn't really making video content other than my Twitch channel, which if you guys don't follow me on Twitch already, you totally should, because then I can talk to you guys one-on-one, interact one-on-one, well, not one-on-one, one on however many of you come, but that way I can talk to you guys live instead of just pre-recorded like this, which there ain't nothing wrong with pre-recorded, but you know, live is fun, it's very interactive, and I highly recommend you do that. But anyway, so I thought I would take this opportunity to finally put out a very highly requested video all about hanging your artwork. And in the beginning of this video, I'm just going to show you, it's actually pre-recorded, like even more than this is, because I actually recorded this beginning footage that I'm about to show you like months ago, but I just never put together the full video. So this first part of the video is where I show you how to hang your artwork via those sawtooth, is that what it's called? Sawtooth? I think it's called sawtooth brackets or something like that. So basically what these look like is they just look like this, and they're really simple. It makes it super easy to hang your artwork on your wall, especially if you're just hanging this at your home and you know, you just want a display wall like I have here. And the sawtooth I only really recommend for lighter weight artwork. Do not use these. I repeat, do not use these on heavier artworks because it's just not sustainable. Now, the reason why I highly recommend these for light artworks in general is because it's fast, it's easy, and it's less work and less pieces for you. Because the other method is hanging it via little D-rings and a wire. And we're going to talk about all of that in this video. So you should be seeing some footage of the sawtooth process. I know this is such a weird, like, I don't even know how to talk about it, but anyway, you should be seeing some footage right now of me putting on a sawtooth bracket on the back of an artwork. Now how this works is you need to measure the width of your artwork as it's going to hang. So if it's going to hang vertically, you're going to measure the width of that artwork and vice versa. So when you get that measurement, you're going to take the halfway point. So if it is an 8x10, that 8-inch width, your halfway point is 4 inches, of course. So you're going to put a little dot right there, you're going to put a little line there, and then you're going to put your bracket in the you're going to put your bracket centered on that little line or dot that you made, okay? So once you have your bracket there on the wood of your canvas, I guess we need to talk about canvases versus gesso boards as well. We'll get into all of that, but we're going to talk about canvases right now. The wood of your canvas, which same thing with if you're using a gesso board that is has like an edge to it or an indentation in it. Like for example, the one that I showed at the beginning of this video with the cat on the artwork, she has this indentation in the back of the gesso board. The gesso board has a thickness to it, therefore, you know, you could put your bracket here, for example. But since my gesso board had a little bit of weight to it, I did not want to use a sawtooth bracket. But anyway, so let's just get back to the canvas. I feel like I'm making this way more complicated than it has to be, but I'm trying to help here. So back to this footage of me putting the sawtooth bracket onto a canvas artwork at the top where the wood is. Like I said, you're going to make a mark at your halfway point, so that would be 4 inches for an 8-inch painting. So once you have your bracket in the center of that dot, you are going to line it up as best you can, as level as you can, whether you just do this by eyeballing it or whether you do this with your phone, because you know a lot of phones these days have, or smartphones, have like this little leveling app that is either pre-built into your phone like mine, or it's an app you can get on the App Store. Either way, you could use it if you want to. I don't. I just eyeball it, because the great thing about sawtooth brackets is when you hang your artwork, and I'm going to show you on this artwork right now, when you hang your artwork, you have wiggle room. You have all of these little indentions in the sawtooth. So like you can kind of wiggle it and move it side to side to get it to be level on your wall and to look great, right? So that is the great thing about the sawtooth. So once you have your bracket centered the way you like it, eyeballing it or whatever, then you're going to put little dots in those little hole areas. So the holes in your bracket, you need to draw little dots with your pencil on your actual canvas wood. This is all in the back of the canvas, by the way. Probably obvious, but thought I should throw that in there. And once you do that, then you're going to get your screwdriver or whatever, which I use a Black & Decker rechargeable one. So, you know, this is what I'm using. I highly recommend investing in one of these if you haven't already, whether you are hanging your own artwork, working around your house on projects, if you're a crafter or a DIYer. Get you one of these if you don't already have one. Highly recommend it. It's going to make your life so much easier, because I don't really recommend trying to do this with a hand screwdriver. Not really recommended, because I want to make sure this sawtooth bracket is in there really nice and snug. So once you have got it marked where the little holes are, you're going to take your screw and you're going to take your screwdriver or drill or whatever you want to call that thing, and you are going to screw it into the bracket, or through the bracket and into the wood of the canvas. Number 1 tip, make sure you are using screws that are short enough for the wood of your canvas. Some canvases are thicker than others, therefore the wood is thicker or less thick depending on what kind of canvas you have. Highly important. I have messed up the wood on artworks before because of this important factor. So just make sure that you're not using a screw that's too long, that's going to go all the way through and damage or ruin your artwork or damage the wood. Just be mindful. A tip that I would love to give you is go on Amazon and get you an artwork hanging kit. That's what I did, and I will show you that right now. So this artwork hanging kit is, sorry, it's very loud. It's awesome. Mine is from, let's see if I can give you an exact, can't open it. See if I can give you an exact name. Mine's from SW Pete. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, but here's their information. If you want to pause the video and look at that, that's their information, I think. I don't know. But if... that's strange. Okay, I thought that I had like a logo for them, but I guess that's just like their packaging or whatever. But anyways, so what you will get in this lovely kit is your sawtooth brackets. Now, mine came with gold ones as well as black ones. It did not come with any silver ones. The only silver things in this are the D-rings, like this, and like this, and like this. So, and then of course it's got the screws. Like, look how tiny these screws are, okay? You don't need a screw that's like super long, not for this kind of project. And here are the tiny little black screws. And the little silver screws are a little bit longer. I would say the longest ones in here are the silver screws. They're a little bit longer. And I like to use those screws to put them in the wall to hang my actual artwork on, because I prefer to use screws in my wall instead of nails, especially on this particular wall. This wall is paneling, and paneling is pretty much, it's like super extremely thin and cheap, and the only grip you're really gonna get with paneling is in the studs. So you either have to hang your art in the studs, or you have to use screws and hang really light artwork. And that's pretty much what I do. Most of my artwork is pretty lightweight, and I use screws. Makes my life so much easier. But anyway, so basically, these are the sawtooth brackets that we're talking about and discussing. This is kind of what they look like right here. There's a hole in each side. So when I'm making a mark in my, on the back of my canvas, on the wood, I'm making it, and then I'm putting this bracket to where that line or mark is in the very center of this bracket, just to get it as centered as possible. So the reason why I suggest this kit is it just makes your life so much easier, because when you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or anything like that, at least I have not been able to find a kit like this. I have found little sets of brackets of like D-rings and things like that, but I have not found an extensive kit. I mean, I don't even know, this thing has, it says it has like 160 pieces. So you can imagine how much you get in this. I know I sound like an ad for this, but this is just my go-to. This and that screwdriver are mostly all I need. The only other tools I suggest, and that's for the second part of this video, is for when you decide to hang your artwork with wire and D-rings instead. Okay, my hair is being a little bit insane, just ignore that. When you decide to use D-rings and wire instead of sawtooth hangers. And there are going to be a multitude of reasons you decide to do this. Your artwork is either heavier than, well, basically if there's any kind of weight to it, I would suggest doing it this way. But a lot of my artwork, if it is a canvas, and it is 8 by 10, 11 by 14, or even this bigger one that's out of view for you guys, which is more like a 20 by something or 22 by something, I don't even know, 18 by 24, I don't know. Even those are pretty lightweight, and I will use a sawtooth hanger. I'm going to be honest with you. I will. If I can get away with it, I'll do it. But there are going to be galleries that never accept sawtooth hangers, and that is really important to know if you want to hang your artwork in an art gallery. So if you are wanting to pursue art galleries, or if you're new and you've never hung artwork before and you want to pursue art galleries, probably just be safe and just use your wire and your D-rings. So there are a wide range of, okay, everything's gonna fall down. There are a wide range of D-ring brackets. I don't know what you call them. D-rings, whatever. So you've got these giant hunkin' Mac Daddy ones like this. And these right here are great for heavier artworks, bigger artworks, artworks that need more of a weight, handling heavy-duty piece of machinery. You know what I mean? Like your artworks, your bigger artworks, and heavier artworks, really good for this. So, like, let's say you're an artist who makes large artworks and they're framed. I mean, large artworks themselves are going to be heavier than small ones for the most part. But when you add a frame, that adds like a whole other level. So frames can be anywhere from lightweight to extremely heavy all on their own. So then when you put an artwork inside the frame, or the frame around the artwork, however you want to look at it, it's going to be even heavier. So that's why these are really great and really handy. I haven't really had to use these yet because luckily my artworks are mostly lightweight, so don't really have to use these big ones. But I have used these smaller D-rings. Now this one's more like a triangle ring. I don't really know if it's called something different, but it's a triangle, not a D. And then there's these little D-rings like this that are basically the same thing, just a different shape. I mean, come on. I've used those. And then this one is kind of the middle ground. You know, this one is only one screw hole, so less weight can be put on this one. But it's still a big guy, so it can still go on the back of a bigger artwork that's maybe not as heavy weight as that other one that we showed with the three screw holes. So, yeah. Basically, the heavier your artwork, the bigger you want this ring to be, the bigger you want this bracket thing to be, and the more screw holes you want on this thing. Just as a rule of thumb. So what I do is, and we can just look at this one. So what you want to do is you want to measure about 1/3 of the way down, depending on the size of your artwork. Some artworks you'll want to measure less than 1/3. So this artwork, I was about 1/3 of the way down, roughly. Now I go by the top of this little ring. So the top of this little triangle thingy is about 1/3 of the way down the back of this. That's how I go off of it. Some people go off of where the hole for the screw actually is. You can do whatever feels right for you, and how you do this is going to kind of determine how your artwork's going to hang. So this particular painting, as you can see, hangs a little bit off the wall, as you can see, compared to, say, this piece back here, which is a sawtooth bracket. So that's another reason why, if I can get away with it, I'm going to use a sawtooth bracket, because a sawtooth bracket is going to, your artwork's going to be closer to the wall, and if you have lightweight artwork, it's not going to be that big of a deal anyway. But again, if you're going into an art gallery, they're most likely going to want the D-rings and the wire. They're not usually going to accept the sawtooth hangers, and their perspective is that a sawtooth hanger isn't protecting of your artwork as much as a wire hanging device on the back. And I can kind of understand, like, I think that the logic there is that if I go and bump, like, this artwork back here, if I just, like, barely bump it, then it's off the wall and it's falling down, right? So I can see that logic behind it. But again, like, the same thing can happen with wire. So, I don't know. I'm trying to understand their point of view. And really it doesn't really matter, because if you went to an art gallery and they have requirements, you gotta meet those requirements. So, anyway, the next step is, after you mark where your holes are gonna be, you're gonna put your little D-rings there, and you're gonna screw these in. Now, you could screw these in vertically, or you can have this little D-ring guy point all the way in like that. I like to do it vertically, because once I put the wire, I find that it kind of will naturally pull on the D-ring anyways. Even when this is really tight, this will pull onto this, pulling it toward that way. So I typically start these out being very vertical. So like that. Very vertical. And then by the time I put my wire, it's kind of pulling it that way. Does that make sense? I hope so. And your wire, you want to have extra wire hanging off so that you can backtrack. So if you can see this, where I've twisted it around, it's about to here. So it's this much space where it's backtracking in on itself. It's twisting around itself on both sides. And then this middle part, I would say if I could turn back time, I would probably just make sure that this wire was a little bit shorter so that it could go underneath of this, because I feel like if it could be underneath this lip, it would probably sit closer in on the wall, but not a guarantee. Pretty much any time that you put wire on the back of your artwork, it's going to kind of pop off the wall a little bit more than a sawtooth. That's just how it's going to be. You know what I forgot to mention? I forgot to mention the wire itself, which this is 20-pound wire. So basically, look at the poundage on your wire. This is really extreme. Like you're not gonna need this amount of poundage. That sounds really weird, but just roll with it. Of wire, unless you've got a really heavy artwork. So maybe use different thicknesses of wire for different artworks. For your lighter artworks, you can use a much lower number right there. And then the other two tools definitely gonna need are wire cutters, which just look like that, and pliers. Now, you might not have to have the pliers, but I highly recommend them for finishing up that wire and twisting it around itself. It just makes the process easier, and especially when you're finishing up that last little end, you want to push it with something like this so that, or squeeze it with something like this so that it's all tucked away and not going to be pointy and sharp and poke people. So those are my tips. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, because I kind of feel like I rambled a little bit too long in this video, and I always do, and I'm sorry for that, but I just don't know how to, I don't know how to pick up the pace. I already kind of talk fast, I feel like, so it's hard for me to condense that crap down. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know. The only other step that you gotta do is basically put your screw in the wall wherever you want it to go. And my recommendation for that is, if you've got heavy artwork, always put heavy and big artworks on studs. Okay, so if you've got a really big artwork, you want a stud here and a stud here. If your artwork's just heavy but it's not super huge, make sure it's in the center of that stud, okay? Anyway, I hope that helps you guys. I hope that was informative and made sense and wasn't too all over the place. But anyway, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye! So before I go, I just want to shout out my patrons. They're on the screen right now, and I just want to thank them so much for supporting me. They're always so super kind and sweet, and they help me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for being patrons.